Hi, welcome to A Foreigner in the Philippines. Good evening for us. I thought I'd read you a little excerpt from a book that I'm reading at the moment, which was given to me by someone, a friend of mine, Roger, who has taught me a great deal just by the books that he has suggested that I should read. And this particular book I've mentioned before, it's by a man called Lawrence Miller. And Lawrence Miller, it's a book called Barbarians to Bureaucrats, and it's about, I know it sounds a bit dry, the corporate life cycle strategies and how in every business it follows certain cycles and rules, if you like. But as with any great author, my feeling about any book which is textbook in its approach, but then it's actually lightened by giving you educational moments of, in this case, history. He draws from history as to how things, even like the rise and fall of the Roman Empire, the Roman Empire. Now, he gives this, but not in a wry. Reading self-help. My phone is turning itself on. He doesn't do this in a dry way. It's a very entertaining way, and in this, gosh, he talks about Montezuma, the Aztecs. He talks about the Huns when they were approaching the Roman Empire. He talks about, in this particular case I wanted to read, because this is very, very much in the popular area of knowledge, and yet I don't think that it's really widely known. So, as I say, the good thing about a good book is that it will have a whole list of references at the back. This, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a chronology, an index in which he tells you where he drew for the source of his book, what he drew from it. But during the actual writing of the book itself, he'll say, in The March of Folly, written by Barbara Tushman, it defines folly as a pursuit of policy contrary to self-interest. Now, I don't want to get all dry on this. I want to get to the bit, the good bit that everybody, including me, can actually appreciate. And it's talking about in 1470 and 1530, talking about the Renaissance popes. Now, popes, we have been educated to believe, are next to God. When I was a kid in a Roman Catholic school of St Wilfrid's in Hume in Manchester, I was told that when the Pope spoke on the policy of the Church, he was infallible. And I think that belief still operates within the Roman Catholic Church right now. So, if you think about that, and about the recent visit of our present Pope, I say ours, to the Philippines, and how everybody thought of him as the Father. Well, these are just people, and it should be remembered. Now, they were not always well behaved, and so it should help you to view all things of men with not a jaded eye, but perhaps in English a pinch of salt. So, in their conduct, what do we have? We have the complete separation from the true purpose of their prophet, Jesus Christ, and their alienation from their followers, provided the stimulus for the Protestant Reformation. That's when the Protestant religion sprang up as against the Catholic religion. Well, if you know anything about history, you'll know that Henry VIII was at that, and actually I think that he started it because he fancied some young lady, and they wouldn't allow him, the Pope would not allow him to marry because it was against the rules. So you need the next best thing. He started his own religion, didn't he? And the Queen's in charge of that right now, Queen Elizabeth. Well, so in their conduct can be seen the derangement of mind that overcomes those who achieve a status beyond accountability for the consequence of their behavior. In other words, they get to be so powerful in the acceptance of the general public that they feel that they can do anything and they will not be held accountable, right? Who's going to say to the Pope, sorry, you're not allowed to do that? I don't think anybody is. So, Pope Sixtus. Now, I won't apologize for mispronouncing some of these words. If they're Latin or Greek, I'll do my best. Sixtus the Fourth, who ascended to the papacy in 1471, is a vivid example. Soon after becoming Pope, he shocked the public by appointing two of his nephews, both in their 20s, as cardinals. But this was only the beginning. Before he was through, he had appointed 3 more nephews and a grand-nephew cardinals, made another a bishop, and gave archiepiscopal sees to children only 8 and 11, both sons of princes. So, as soon as he got in, he got the family. Sorry, a little break there. So, he's appointing kids that are only 8 and 11 because they're sons of princes. So, back then, it was a business. Now, Sixtus only began a trend that was reinforced by his successor, Innocent the, the 8th. I'm looking at Roman numerals here, so forgive me. Who was innocent of very little that was unholy. He was the son of a wealthy Genoese family and was elected to the College of Cardinals after fathering several illegitimate children. He became Pope only because of a deadlock between 2 more ambitious candidates. Innocent was best known for his devotion to his son, Francescetto, whose marriage to the daughter of Lorenzo de' Medici, the great Florentine merchant, he arranged. So the Pope celebrated his son's wedding with a party in the Vatican, so elaborate that he was forced to mortgage the papal tiara and other treasures to pay for it. Back then, popes were very much different to what they are now, and yet they were not. They had armies. Whether you know it or not, the Vatican City is a sovereign city. It has its own police force, has its own army. You can't go marching in there with a search warrant and expect to get anywhere. You'll be thrown in prison if you're not careful, I think. So anyway, not surprisingly, Giovanni would go on to become Pope Leo X. Now, the College of Cardinals was appointed by the popes, and they in turn elected the popes. Now, there's quite a complex way of deciding who is going to be the pope, the next pope. And one of those little rituals that they have, there's a chimney, apparently. I may be oversimplifying this, okay? What do I know? I'm a simple man. There's a little chimney, and when it emits smoke, it means that they have, to the waiting multitude out in the, is it St. Peter's Square, they found the next pope. Well, it was a closed system that served to reinforce its own values. So it's kind of like the College of Cardinals is the guys, and they elect one of their own, so they are appointed. The College of Cardinals is appointed by the Pope, and they in turn elect the popes. It's a closed system that serves to reinforce its own values that had drifted increasingly away from the teachings of Christ. So, let me just say, Alexander VI, followed Innocent and did little but carry the depravity to new heights. Alexander was Cardinal Rodrigo Borgia, elected at the age of 62 after 35 years as a cardinal. He is said to have purchased the papacy. Listen to this. He is said to have purchased the papacy outright from two chief rivals who received 4 mule loads of bullion, that's gold. So it's a business, and he invested enough gold that 4 mules had to carry it. Now, his character, Alexander VI's character, his character, habits, principles or lack of them, uses of power, methods of enrichment, mistresses and 7 children were well enough known to his colleagues in the college to evoke from young Giovanni de' Medici at his first conclave the comment on Borgia's elevation to the papacy. Giovanni said, even at that young age, he said, "Flee." In other words, scatter. We are in the hands of a wolf. So Alexander, listen to this. This is this might be a surprise to you. Alexander staged bullfights in the Piazza of St. Peter. He went slightly beyond the accepted norm of behavior when he took as mistress Vannozza di Catanius, who was 19 years old, who succeeded her mother in that role. In other words, his mistress was the mother of this lady, Vannozza. And then when she became 19, he swapped over. He married her to a member of a wealthy family, as he had married off her mother. So when he'd finished what he had to do with the young lady, he married her off. So Borgia himself, as recorded by apparently objective observers, boasted of these relationships. So let me just do this one thing. Burchard, the master of ceremonies, was neither antagonistic nor apologist. The impressions from his toneless diary of Alexander's papacy is of continuous violence, murders in church, bodies in the Tiber, fighting of factions, burning and looting, arrests, tortures and executions, combined with scandal, frivolities and continuous ceremony, reception of ambassadors, princes and sovereigns, obsessive attention to garments and jewels, protocol of processions, entertainments and horse races with cardinals winning prizes. Alexander was a party. He was in it for parties, and apparently he had a great time. What I'm trying to enlighten you about is not so much what happened in the Catholic Church, but that how entertaining this book is if you are interested in finding out just how the behavior of all of us, from our own personal behavior, which can be traced through the different stages that Mr. Miller writes about, but right up to the highest and you would think the most untouchable, in other words the Pope. Who would have thought that the Pope would be out there with mistresses fathering illegitimate children, marrying off his mistress and taking on her daughter until he'd finished, and then marrying her off? Who'd have thought that that was the behaviour of a Pope? And apparently there's a lot that we don't know. So I'm not saying that that's how the Catholic religion is right now, okay? So if you're a Catholic, don't get offended with me. We're talking about history, okay? But thanks for looking in. This is A Foreigner in the Philippines. You can learn so much from reading a book.